Anyway, Star Wars the deck building game. Let me have a chat about this. So, it was released this year to retail, and it is a 2-player deck building game. And the deck building experience is the same as you would expect, which is that we both start with 2 identical decks of cards with money. And the objective of the game is one player will be taking the side of the the Rebellion, and one side will be taking the Empire. We all know which is the coolest faction to go with. We'll say it on 3. 1, 2, 3. Empire. Yeah, absolutely it is. I mean, look, don't get me wrong. I love the Rebellion, but they're not as cool as the Empire, let's be honest.
No.
Anyway.
Until they bring out the Jar Jar Binks expansion.
No, we'll see.
Wow.
Yeah, Dark Lord Jar Jar Binks.
No. Until they bring out the expansion with the Eagles from Lord of the Rings comes into it as well, because why not?
Yeah, why not?
Then hey,
yeah, cool.
Anyway,
Rebels win.
So the way that this game works is that we each the winner of the game is the first person to destroy 3 bases of the opponent. You get to choose you start with the same starting base. I like to play the variant of you just get to pick whatever base you want.
Yeah, that's way better.
Yeah, it's a lot better. And then throughout the game, you can do there are 3 different currencies. There is your normal currency to buy people from the central deck, what's called the Galaxy row, I should say. That's 6 cards sitting in between the 2 players, and you can go and buy characters from there. There are the guns that you can shoot people with, specifically the bases, and then there is the force points. So the Rebellion always starts with the force, and there are ways of being able to manipulate this force track to be able to get special abilities. So if there may be some cards that say, hey, if the force is with you, get some bonus attack and stuff. What makes this game really cool, though, is the central Galaxy deck, in my opinion, which is there are 3 sorts of cards that you can find and buy. The first is you can buy your own, own factions, cards and unique characters. They're heroes like Darth Vader, for example, or Han Solo for the Rebellion. But if I'm the Empire, I can't buy those cards. I can't buy Han Solo because he belongs to the Rebellion. But I can kill them. I can shoot them and I can go what's called bounty hunting, and essentially go, all right, you didn't buy him fast enough. Pew, 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 pew. I just shot him, and now Han Solo is no longer available to you. And I think that's one of the coolest things.
So Han didn't shoot first?
Not in my game. No,
okay,
I shot him dead.
Okay.
And so that's the first. You can go bounty hunting. There are capital ships. These are the ships that you can buy. They act as defense for your base. They also give you little things that you can buy them and bring them in. And then you've got the neutral characters, which tend to be like the scoundrels and the bounty hunters
and Jabba.
And Jabba the Hutt, the bounty hunters, the crime syndicate, all that kind of stuff. And they can be bought, and you can add them in. And then through standard, deck building mechanics, you draw 5, you play all 5. Some cards allow you to draw more cards, some allow you to do extra damage, some allow you to manipulate the force, and then you play all of the cards, then you do everything you can on your turn, you do as much as you can, and then you pass it to the opponent for their turn, and away you go back and forth until someone kills 3 bases, and then the winner. Reese, you and I have played this game, Damien hasn't.
Yep.
What do you think about this game?
For a deck building game, as much as the theme doesn't really shine through for cards, just playing in and out of your hand, it works really well based on the factions, and you can shoot the opponent's factions down.
Yep.
The characters that they can recruit, bounty hunting.
Yep.
And putting ships out in front of your world is really good.
I have to say, I think this may be so I am also a resident Star Wars nerd. There's a Star Wars right behind me on the video. You can see there, I've got the stuff up there. I think this may be this would be my second game that I would introduce someone to deck building for. That's how good. I think it's that good. I really, really like it. I understand what you're talking about, the theme. Like, hey, if I've got Darth Vader, it may not necessarily feel like I'm playing Darth Vader, but there are some really cool abilities out there. Like Darth Vader, for example, he's like, I get 2 force points and and 4 attack, which is really good. But if the force is with me, hey, I get an extra 4 attack, so he's really scary sort of thing. But there was a game that I played with Ralph where he just had 2 B-Wings, which are pretty cool, ship, and I just couldn't stop him. I'm just like, I just could not stop this thing, and I was like, this game was over in like 20 minutes.
And that's the question that kind of really leads into the question that I have. So basically, the game that you explained sounds a lot like Star Realms to me.
It feels a lot like Star Realms.
If you have a lot of deck builders, it doesn't change the game. It doesn't change. Like, it's not something you need to go out and buy.
Yeah.
I would only say go out and buy it if you have a lot of deck builders and you're a Star Wars, big Star Wars fan.
Because the thing about, so for listeners, for those who haven't played it, so Star Realms is much in the same light, the same thing. It's a deck builder where you take a faction, your opponent takes a faction. By now, I'm sure there are dozens of different
There's a
factions.
lot of different factions.
There's so many expansions that you can buy. And it's very much that same thing where you are upgrading your deck, you are trying to, and you're spending the entire time either trying to shoot your opponent's ships, and ultimately you're trying to destroy their space station or their 3. Is it 3 space stations?
It's 1. It's 1 at 40 hit points, I believe.
That's right. Yes. Or you're trying to defend your own, and as much as I had fun with that game, very, very like years ago, it's been quite a while since I played. I'm pretty sure, but I'm still pretty sure my set is just all tattered and such. The biggest issue that I had with it is that the game can be over very, very quickly, or you could just have an unstoppable turn, not because you built your deck intelligently, but because you just had the 2 cards that you needed to come out at that particular time in a deck of 30 cards, whatever it is. I can't exactly remember how many cards. And that was always the issue that I had with the game. As much as the factions seem balanced, I always felt like that it was just too swingy compared to some deck builders. And I know we are sort of, I know I am splitting hairs here, and I'm comparing sort of apples and oranges to some degree.
That's fine.
That's
literally why we're here.
But this is why I find in games like Clank, and I know Reese, you love Clank. Like we've played it a bunch together.
Yeah, of course.
And the thing about Clank is that wobbliness that you get in deck builds doesn't matter because you're trying to get around a map. Who cares? There's always something for you to do. Whereas in a game like Star Realms, or it sounds like in Star Wars, there is the only thing they're trying to do is shoot your opponent's ships faster than what they can shoot you. So the concern I have is that with Star Wars, what makes Star Wars different to Star Realms?
In Star Realms, can you shoot the market of your opponent? That's the big thing here, and that's what I really like about this game, which is, I will admit, it does have a problem in the sense of that if the Galaxy Road comes out and it is all pointing to your opponent's faction, you can feel like, I cannot buy anything, I cannot upgrade myself, it sucks. There is a variant that does allow you to do things like, for example, some of the bounty hunters, if you don't have enough money, you can actually just pay the bounty hunter a value to get them away so that you can draw some more stuff. But however, the fact that you can go bounty hunting and go, all right, I'm going to lay damage onto that guy and get the reward, whether or not that be some extra gold, that be some force points, maybe an extra draw, is really cool. And that's the mechanic that really made me go, okay, I get it. Now, in saying that, Reese, I don't know if you felt this, but when you are playing it, you can feel like it does suffer from that. If someone does get those cards before you have a chance to bounty hunt them, then you can just go, like, I can't stop. Like that game that I played with, the first game that I played with Ralph, he got the B-Wings. The game was over in 20 minutes because I just couldn't stop them. I had no way of defending. There were no capital ships. However, the next game that we played, game 2, I ended up winning because I got all the capital ships and he couldn't bust through my defense. And then I was able to take the game by stalling it for long enough to get myself to a point where I'm like, okay, I can do stuff. The third game was a lot closer. And it does feel like the more that you play it, you start to understand what cards are really important for your opponent, no matter under what circumstance. And that is something there, but Reese, I don't know if you found that as well, but that seems to be the main difference between that and Star Realms.
Yes, I've played 3 games of it, and at least twice there was a big big swing of
Yeah.
got no guys here. What's going on? Who shuffled this?
Yeah, and I'm hoping that, and look, I'm not trying to sound negative on the game. I haven't played it, so who am I, to comment on this? But it sounds like it sounds like it's actually primed for expansions as well.
100%.
Because of that, though.
I am trying to figure out what expansions they will bring out, right? Because
they could do all 9 movies. There's 9 expansions done.
Well, the problem is that
then there's Rogue One, then there's Solo.
No, they can't do Rogue One.
No, but
Rogue One's already
But
done
the problem
in
is
Rebellion.
that because the 2 factions here are the Empire and the Rebellion, right? But in the Empire is Darth Vader, so they can't do the Sith faction and they can't do the Jedi faction because Luke is in there as either. But maybe they can do something like the Mandalorian faction is one that they could do. They could actually have a more diplomatic one, which is maybe they could have like I don't know. You'd probably have to pick all the different races from the different Star Wars movies. But
then again, this is a Fantasy Flight product. Fantasy Flight are famous for releasing expansions where they actually say, get rid of these cards, put these ones in instead. Maybe they do something like that.
Yeah.
Look, I definitely don't want to take away from the gloss because you two clearly do really enjoy the game. So they're absolutely. I definitely want to give it a go.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's definitely one of those games as well that I'll be keeping an eye on because I'm curious to see where they take it because it's Star Wars franchise. It's a deck builder akin to Star Realms, and Star Realms has big box editions, and then they still had more stuff added to it. I would be very surprised if there weren't like already expansions.
So as soon as I finished my first game of playing it, I took a closer look at the components, and the first place I looked was down in the bottom corner of the card, and there was a little set symbol there.
Yeah.
That does not surprise me that they're going to bring out more stuff.
Immediately, I was like, okay, cool, expansions. When?
Like I got my copy for $40, right? And for $40, I go absolutely worth it. When it first came out, I was like $55, whatever. I got it at 40. I'm like, this is good. But like this is a really good product for people who are either really into Star Wars. I think the theme fits it really well. Or it's for people who maybe want to try have a 1 versus 1 game with their friend, or you want to try the deck building. I still think Dominion, even though it's the most common answer, is the best deck builder is the best intro deck builder because they properly get that. But this, with the theme, makes it easy enough for someone to jump into. And the games are actually relatively quick. I mean, yes, they're swingy, but the swinging games are over in like 20 minutes. And when that happens, you're like, that's cool. All right, let's shuffle and go again. Like, It's not as if I'm playing for an hour and then go, I was locked out of something for an hour. So, anyway, I really like that. I do want to give a big shout out to the designer, Caleb Grace. It is really, really good. Fantasy Flight is obviously publishing it. So, I look forward to talking more about content when it gets released. I think it's really good. But